Okay, so today on the Real In interview, we would like to welcome back to the channel Aditya Kripalani. Aditya, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks, man.
Thanks for coming back to speak to us again. We spoke to you, I think it was a couple of years ago now about Not Today.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, so and now we're talking about exciting developments in your filmmaking career.
You could say that. You could.
So tell us, like I said, we last spoke to you about Not Today. What have you been up to since then?
I've written a lot of films, and then we've made this film called Main Actor Nahin Hoon
Mhm.
last.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much it. And we also shot a film called Grand Sugar Daddy in Singapore, which is a hyper indie film,
Right. Okay.
very close to zero budget. Yeah.
We'll come to that one a little bit later. Let's talk about Main Actor Nahin Hoon. So this is set to premiere at CineQuest this weekend.
Yes, that's true.
World premiere.
Oh man, that's stressful. Yeah, yeah.
You must be pretty excited about that, though.
I am, and it's a good festival. It's very welcoming of independent cinema, and so that's a nice thing.
Great. So tell us a little bit about the film.
It's about a banker who's taken voluntary retirement, which isn't everything he thought it's going to be. And so he's going through depression because he suddenly has an identity loss.
Hmm.
And he ends up at this audition where he feels more alive than he's ever felt in many years.
Yeah.
And then he undergoes an acting workshop across two countries on a video call for one full day. So that's the film.
Hmm.
And Moni, who's a puritanical actor who has a lot of frustration and anger and angst inside because the life of an actor in Bombay, as every reel of mine nowadays is doing, is really difficult. Uh, yeah, platforms will spend 20 crores on someone's son and daughter, but they're not going to buy a regular film. So she's full of that, and unfortunately, it has taken a bit of a toll on her psyche, and she has become a very angry, frustrated human being. So the film is about these two characters.
Hmm. And reading the synopsis of the film and sort of seeing the bits of it, it kind of feels a little bit more personal than your previous films. Because you've obviously looked at issues in your previous films, but with this being about acting and, like you say, Morney's character, is some of your angst coming out in my Morney's character?
Of course. But also, it feels more personal because I've never been a sex worker and I'm not a woman living in Delhi, and I've not been a therapist who's a sex addict, thankfully, and all those things. So I
Yeah,
think it feels more personal. I've not stood on top of a building yet. So all
yeah.
of it, like it's
But
just,
but when you were writing it, did was it almost like a conscious, yeah,
yeah.
this is more me. This is almost cathartic from my point of view.
No, I didn't actually. Adnan Beg, who's the banker, is also a lot like me. And
Mhm.
Moni, who's the artist, is also a lot like me. So I don't know who I'm like more.
Okay.
But the banker is a nicer person because in my relationship, my partner is definitely the nicer human being. And the banker is a nicer person in the film. The artist is the asshole.
Is
Because
that
you understand why. Like
yeah?
that's what the film is about.
Is there a bit of you? I mean, obviously, you say this film, possibly a little bit more closer to your life, but is there a little bit of you in every character you write?
Yeah, 100%. I think the at the core, for example, what I felt after coming out of film school and being a screenwriter and having to give something that's a very deep thing from you to people, and they treat it like it's very transactional and like that kind of thing. I think that's what I imbued the sex worker film with, because I had never been a sex worker. And
Yeah,
so I could only understand what they feel because I had understood what this feels like
sure.
for a few years. So I
Yeah,
think in that sense, at a deeper level, everything is coming from things that you have felt. You may not have felt them exactly in the manner and in the context that those characters are feeling it, but you do feel it. For example, I saw Dawn of the Planet of the Apes yesterday for like the 10th time, and I thought it's like a Hindu Muslim film.
yeah,
Exactly the same. Exactly the same. You could just make them Hindus and Muslim instead of ape and human being, you know. And I'm not saying that the Hindus, all the Muslims are the apes before someone gets upset, because it's quite a cuckoo world we live in.
yeah,
But you get my point. So
yeah,
I think it's like that. In that sense, like I felt that if I were to direct Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, I would know exactly what it feels like, because it's just minority and majority community. It's nothing else.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So in your previous films, Well, so let's rephrase that. I think in this film, it's the first time you're working with somebody who has got a Bollywood background as well. You have Nawazuddin Siddiqui playing Adnan in the film.
Right.
So
True.
how did that come about?
He'd put up a post on Instagram with some song, and I've been following for a while, and I really liked the song. So I said, "Can one of his 10 million fans tell me what the name of the song is?" Because he had not put the name of the song.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't make that out. And then someone responded. Then I heard the song for 5, 6 days, and I responded to that one random person. In fact, I should go find that post now and say thanks.
Yeah.
And then that person said thanks. And then Nawaz Saab came and said, "Oh, I'm so glad you like this song, Adi."
Hmm.
I was like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Like, how does he know that I exist? Because I do work in such a corner of the world that I was very surprised.
Hmm.
And then, of course, I'm a hustler. So I found out his number and messaged him and reached his house and then spoke to him for about 5 hours. And he was kind enough to give us that kind of time. And by the end of that, we'd sent him the script. And then within a couple of weeks, we'd locked on to the film that we want to make. And 45 days after that, we were shooting. It's
Wow.
quite fast from there.
Oh, yeah.
It's taken a while after that, I must say, because we almost got into Sundance, almost got into Cannes. We were in the absolute final shortlist at Cannes, and then didn't happen. What
Okay.
happens is after that, your hopes grow high. You think, okay, you wait and wait and wait. So we
Yeah.
then said no to a lot of smaller festivals because, strategically, you have to
Sure.
plan the festival route.
Of
Then we
course.
finally got CineQuest. So there's been a lot of waiting after that.
Uh-huh. So when did you shoot the film?
I shot the film a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, not a lot of waiting, but it's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
a lot more than indie filmmakers are used to.
Yes. Yeah, I can understand. So with having him in the film, I mean, how from what I can remember of his filmography, this is in terms of recent times, it's probably the only completely independent film he's done.
Yeah,
So
that's
did
right.
he completely just submit himself to the film and to your vision, or were there, I think you should change this, or were there discussions, or was it just okay? I agree with your script, and let's just go with it.
He submitted 100%, but I can say that he wouldn't do that with everyone. He'd probably do that when he can trust someone, which is like any other human being.
Sure.
I think the amount of time you give to talking to someone or spending time with them and being open about the way you work and being transparent or naked about the way you work, I think all that really helps. So I feel that he kind of had a sense that Shweta and this guy, of course, he got his manager Anup to do some research on us as well.
Yeah.
Once the film was over, I realized he had seen my TED talk as well. Like I didn't know all these things till we finished shooting the film.
Yeah.
Because I think he didn't let on any of this. But I think he'd done his research. So before we started shooting, he already had a sense of me and Shweta
Yeah.
as people. And at one of the wrap up parties, because two shoot like two countries the shoot,
Sure.
so there were two wrap up parties.
Yeah.
He said, I think someone asked him, "Why did you work with Aditya? What was it that you?" So he said, "I realized that this guy is still innocent. I may as well catch him before he gets caught." Yeah.
Is there any chance of that happening now? Now you've worked with Nawazuddin Siddiqui.
The problem is that he has been such a joy to work with, and um, it's very difficult for me. Anyway, I need to love the people I work with. Um, Thankfully, not fall in love with them, but love
Yeah.
them very
Yeah.
deeply. I need to.
Yeah.
Um, and he's a very easy man to love. Honestly, he's a beautiful man. I think physiologically also he's beautiful. Sociologically, he doesn't come with any airs at all. He's working with him while shooting the film or like the prep of the film was like working with any of the actors I've worked with before, which is a very big thing to say because he also didn't take a rupee on the film. He's a co-producer. He waived his
Right.
entire. At
Okay.
that time, his fee was 5 crores or 4 crores 2.5 years ago.
Hmm.
He waived that, and he reached Frankfurt buying his own first class ticket from Dubai.
Right.
So, and he exited Frankfurt airport alone. I don't know any star or even influencer today who will reach an airport on their own today and say, okay, let me just see what these guys are about. It's a big risk.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
risk.
Completely.
So I'm a fan of him and I am indebted.
Mhm.
At some level, I will always be indebted because nobody has, until this point. There are people after that. I mean, there have been many people in the last couple of years who've been very kind, and I'm grateful to them as well. But
Mm.
until this point, nobody had been this kind to us.
Yeah,
In Yeah, of course, it is out of it is like, and like Ayn Rand has, the virtue of selfishness. So it is out of, because you yourself want to work
sure.
and want to try something with that person. So it is not like he's not being what's the word for it here? It's a donation drive nahi chal rahi hai yahan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
is like.
It's a symbiotic relationship. You're both getting something out of it.
And
Um,
Chitra was also extremely professional because I had to be with Nawaz here because that's the actor I've never worked with.
yeah.
Chitra I've done 3 films with, and also Chitra was working in Bombay, and I know Bombay.
Yes.
But Frankfurt I'd never shot in. So the
Okay.
unknown level was Frankfurt. So I had to be here.
Yeah.
So she's been a complete professional. I was able to work as a director with her even by just talking to her on video calls, thankfully,
Sure.
because we already had an equation. And I'm
Sure.
really grateful to her for that.
That's one of that was going to be my next question actually. When you say that you have to love your actors, Chitrangada is clearly somebody you love working with because you've worked with her and
Yeah,
actually in
absolutely.
a variety of different roles as well.
Absolutely. I do love Chitra as well as a human being. It's after our first film, we both said we are not going to work with each other ever because we're both very strong-headed people.
Yeah,
And she's one of the most principled people I know. And she puts her stand out very publicly, which is very rare now,
yeah,
and all those things. But for this one, we had to audition her again because I didn't know at that point who was going to be the co-producer on the film, and I knew that I would have to fight for it to
sure.
get her on board. And so she did an audition with 17 other people, and she won that role fair and square this time.
Okay.
Mm.
So um with the casting, did could you see Chitrangada in this role? I mean, because obviously when you've cast her in very, very different roles in your previous films,
Yeah.
was it very easy? I mean, she's obviously got quite a wide base of work. Was it quite easy to picture in this role of a kind of a angst-ridden actress?
No, as I said, she auditioned for it, so I didn't have to picture her,
Mhm.
thankfully.
Okay.
She had to just do a great audition, and she did. And
Yeah.
then when she did the audition, right at that point, I realized that hers was the best of all the other people at audition.
Yeah.
And so I was very happy.
Okay.
But okay, and when I asked her, initially said you'll have to audition, she was like, oh, but why? How come I need to audition for this one? So I explained that because we might have co-producers, and I'll only be able to prove that point if they can see it.
Sure. Sure.
And mm.
And how, in terms of, I take it the casting of this film all came after the script was fully written. So how did you think about casting somebody who is known for being a great actor as a non-actor?
I'll thank my 8 years of advertising for that. It was like I saw that poster in my head and I was like, okay, this works.
Yeah,
I was like, his face and Main Actor Nahin Hoon. I think we're good. And of course, I've always wanted to work with him. Um, he's one of the most fantastic and most, there's something very lovable about him on screen. It's very easy to be drawn, very magnetic
Mhm.
as an actor.
Mm.
Uh, and he also takes his craft really seriously, and he has kind of given up large portions of his life to
Mm.
make this work. He's really, really, really into it.
Yeah,
I find that so for my time, there are very few actors that I feel that way about,
yeah,
and Nawaz has always been one of those that I've wanted to work with.
yeah. That's amazing. So an independent film that you're shooting across two countries. Again, that's a new thing for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
How did that work? I mean, you kind of you've touched on it already in terms of giving instructions over video call. But how did you kind of retain creative control over the entire thing in terms of the two portions when you couldn't be in Mumbai?
Uh, I had my assistants from Bombay had to stream the frame live every day.
Right.
So I was looking at two iPads. So in my
Sure.
mind, I was like, okay, this is how this film is going to look like if we. So everywhere I was walking around, I was walking around looking at two iPads and seeing the frame of both locations. And Anuradha Pandey, who has been working with us since she was 22.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. She was there from the first film onwards. She is the associate on this film, and she pretty much handled the Bombay shoot.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, I would, I would have almost said co-directed if I wasn't handling both actors,
Right.
because she did so much. Um, yeah, so basically, she went, I would say, between an associate director and a co-director. Like that's somewhere where she was on this film,
Yeah.
to be as exact as I can. So without that, I would have, again, if we didn't have someone we trusted that implicitly, and who has who's also been schooled in our kind of way of making films for the last 8 years, then
Sure.
it would have been very difficult to make this film.
Sure.
It's only because she could actually go in there and also shoot those things in local train while I was shooting in the tram in Frankfurt, all
Yeah.
that. Mm.
And what were the sort of challenges? I mean, you say you shot in Frankfurt for the first time. So how easy or hard was that? How, to arrange everything in Europe rather than in India?
Frankfurt was actually the easiest part of the shoot.
Okay.
Yeah, because you apply for permissions and they give them to you. It's like, instead of this, you don't have to do gorilla, no. I mean, in
Yeah.
India, you do gorilla because permissions are such a nightmare.
Yeah.
Despite after you apply for permission and get it and pay for it, then people still come to take bribe. Like India is a strange place to shoot in.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And then that's the reason that uh, so it was much easier to shoot in Frankfurt actually.
Okay.
And the Germans they don't necessarily like cinema being shot around them. So they don't look into the camera. They just do
Yeah.
their own thing.
It's a
They're
good
not
idea.
very trusting of technology.
Right. Okay.
And so the camera is not something they like.
Sure.
In fact, they have these rules here that if anyone's face comes in the film, then it's a little bit complicated.
Right.
So in the Frankfurt parts in the train, some of the people you see in the background are friends of ours,
Okay.
just to protect that
Sure.
rule.
Sure. 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 So you've got your world premiere this weekend at Cinequest. Where is Main Actor Nahin Hoon going after that?
We're looking to do a theatrical release because I find that it's a really good film for theaters, because the kind of effect we've seen when we've done test audiences in Bombay is pretty strong by the end of the film.
Hmm.
Uh, and we want it to be an unbroken experience, because now it's very difficult to get people to not break the experience when you let them watch it outside a cinema hall.
Sure.
And so we're going to do a theatrical by the end of May or June, in all probability.
Is that worldwide or focusing on India for now?
As of now, India. But if we could do some, we could probably do Germany. We could try that, and we're totally open to doing it in the UK as well. So it's something we've got to figure out.
Yeah. Okay. And what's next for you?
Uh, there's a Malayalam film which I'm supposed to do with Indrajit Sukumaran, who's an
Wow.
actor,
Yeah.
notable
Nice.
actor. He's been done 106 films or
Yeah.
more. So I'm supposed to do that film with him, which is about air pollution.
Okay.
It's a love story, and it's about air pollution in Bombay.
Hmm.
So that's something that I've written, and we were supposed to do it uh, in June this year, shoot it, but now I've requested him to push it because I have to figure this out.
Yeah.
Like with my actor, I would like to do a theatrical, and that means I'm going to be much more involved than if we just sell it to a platform, and it's going to be really
Sure.
different. That's
Sure.
all. So now probably by the end of the year is when we'll shoot the film.
Hmm. And are
Yeah.
you writing anything else that's coming up soon? Any sneak peeks you
Uh,
can give us to what's coming in the future?
there's a film about divorce which I'm doing. Um, so I've spoken to a couple of actors, and but I don't want to name them yet because then
Sure.
it becomes too complicated. But it's a film set on a train from Delhi to Amritsar, and it's about divorce, and it's something that I want to do. It's been a while that I've been wanting to talk about it, because I loved Ijazat, and I always wanted to
Yes.
do a 2025, 2026 story about suicide. Suicide. You see where I go? Like natural tendency is to go towards suicide as a topic, man.
It's just
Story
because we
about
talked about not today last time. That's the only reason
I,
you said
yeah, but it's also that divorce for me is like suicide. So that makes sense.
it.
I've been with Shweta so long that I'm not surprised that I said that. Yeah, so that I really want to talk about, and it also talks about how quickly we label each other in a relationship. Something I've
Mm,
been wanting to talk about. I
mm.
find as time goes on, the labels come into a relationship much faster. In our time, it took a little more time, and so you had a little more time to settle in.
Mhm.
But now they come in really fast, and yeah, something we tried to explore in the film.
Sounds really intriguing. The only thing I will ask before I let you go is that we get you back on the channel every single time you release a film, because it's always a
Sure,
pleasure
man.
speaking to you.
Thank you, Bhaskar. Sure, man. That would be great.
Best of luck for Cinequest, and yeah, we look forward to the theatrical release of Main Actor Nahin Hoon.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you, Bhaskar.
Right. Thank you very much for your
Right.
time. We'll speak to
Thank
you
you.
soon.
Take care. Take care, man.
Take care. Take care.